Hello and welcome to Thought for the Day for Friday the 1st of October 2021. I'm Alan, my wife is Anne and we live in Binstead. Our reading today is from the Gospel according to St Mark, chapter 14, verses 53 to 65 from the New Revised Standard Version. Jesus before the council. They took Jesus to the high priest, and all the chief priests, the elders, and the scribes were assembled. Peter had followed him at a distance, right into the courtyard of the high priest, and he was sitting there with the guards, warming himself at the fire. Now the chief priests and the whole council were looking for testimony against Jesus to put him to death, but they found none, for many gave false testimony against him, and their testimony did not agree. Some stood up and gave false testimony against him, saying, "We heard him say, 'I will destroy this temple that is made with hands, and in 3 days I will build another, not made with hands.' But even on this point, their testimony did not agree." Then the high priest stood up before them and asked Jesus, "Have you no answer? What is it that they testify against you?" But he was silent and did not answer. Again the high priest asked him, "Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One?" Jesus said, "I am, and you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of the power and coming with the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest tore his clothes and said, "Why do we still need witnesses? You've heard his blasphemy. What's your decision?" All of them condemned him as deserving death. Some began to spit on him, to blindfold him, and to strike him, saying to him, "Prophesy!" The guards also took him over and beat him. When I was thinking about what to say today, I was reminded of something that I heard quite a long time ago. Charles Haddon Spurgeon, one of the greatest preachers of a previous generation, encourages us to cling to Scripture because it is the silken clue which will lead us to Christ. As Spurgeon saw it, that was the point of the Bible. Dick France has written one of the very best up-to-date commentaries on St Mark's Gospel. He describes Mark's Gospel as a book waiting to be read and enjoyed, a careful account of the story of Jesus and his disciples, intended to be read and appreciated as a whole, rather than a collection of units. So what does Dick France say about some of the passage we read earlier? Verse 53 carries us with the arresting party from Gethsemane to the high priest's house. The main scene is the gathering of members of a Sanhedrin. Here it is Jesus who is under the spotlight. But in the courtyard outside is another group, centered around Peter. He is the only disciple who has dared to follow Jesus. The effect of Mark's telling of the story is to throw Jesus and Peter into sharp contrast. Each will be under pressure, but whereas Jesus will stand firm, Peter will crumble. Jesus will go to his death, but with his witness to his mission undimmed. Peter will escape, but at the cost of his integrity as a disciple of Jesus. It is a study in witnessing under pressure, in how to do it and how not to do it. It could be expected to offer serious food for thought for Mark's readers as they assessed their own faithfulness and built up their strength for witness in a potentially hostile world. By the grace of God, I have been a Christian for well over half a century. By his grace, I rejoice every single day in the life he continues to grant us. I rejoice in the splendid number of writers who help us to build up our strength and witness to everyone we meet in God's amazing world. One of the books I'm currently reading is Tom Wright's recently published commentary on St Paul's letter to the Galatians. I'm finding it to be one of Tom Wright's best ever books. One of the verses which has already jumped off the page at me is Galatians Chapter 2, verse 20. In Tom Wright's translation, that says, "I am, however, alive, but it isn't me any longer. It's the Messiah who lives in me. And the life I do still live in the flesh, I live within the faithfulness of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me." In this context, Tom Wright's commentary draws our attention to Romans chapter 8, verses 9 to 11. There, the indwelling divine presence is referred to as God's Spirit, Messiah's Spirit, Messiah, the Spirit, the Spirit of the one who raised Jesus from the dead, and then finally, the indwelling Spirit. What is completely extraordinary is that this selfsame Spirit, the Spirit of Jesus, is available today in 2021 in the benefice of Bentley, Binstead and Froyle, wherever anyone is listening to this broadcast right now, and throughout God's wonderful world. My thought for the day is, may God's Spirit guide each and every one of us this day and always. God bless us all, everyone. Amen.